Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. I am Jalen Webb, a senior music business student at Elizabeth City State University, and today we're going to go over my senior project, which is YouTube Content ID. This project is a partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Music at Elizabeth City State University. So, what are we going to talk about, you may ask? So, within our table of contents prepared within this PowerPoint presentation, we're going to talk about my project proposal. What prompted me to go into the world of YouTube, specifically Content ID? We're going to talk about the objectives of this presentation. We're going to go into a little bit of the history of YouTube. How was it founded? Why was it founded? We're also going to take a look at the current YouTube executives overall of the company. We're going to also look at a visual of YouTube headquarters in California. We're also going to take a glance at the 6 exclusive rights for copyright. And we also have a conducted interview from myself with entertainment and sports attorney OMARA Harris, based in Atlanta, Georgia. We're also going to talk about the criteria needed for YouTube Content ID. There also are included into this PowerPoint presentation visual examples of YouTube Content ID from YouTube themselves. We're also going to take a look at what Content ID is and look at an example from my personal reference of YouTube Content ID. And we're also going to talk about advertising and how big of a role that plays within YouTube. And we're going to do a summary pretty much to sum this all together, sum this up into one big presentation. So, a project proposal. This project pretty much is an analysis of YouTube Content ID and the business model that is structured and has become a great resource for music business. I picked this project in specific, being that I am a content creator myself. I do have a YouTube channel. I've been on YouTube actually for 10 plus years, from pre-teen on up to now. Took a pause before coming into college and started doing videos, but I wanted to go into an inside depth of what YouTube is really all about, how important it is for musicians, for artists, or just for plain old people that just want to create content, how important this is for them. So the objectives, we have 3 objectives that we're going to talk about within this presentation. We're analyzing YouTube Content ID. We're going to also, we created a presentation, so I have created that presentation for us, and we're going to evaluate the issue. How resourceful is Content ID? Is it good? Is it bad? We're going to find out. So now we're going to take an inside look at the history of YouTube. So now we're into the history of YouTube. YouTube is an online video sharing platform created in February of 2005 by founders Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jod Kareem. Bought by Google in November of 2006, YouTube is the second most visited website. Not only does YouTube provide video sharing, but it also has features such as YouTube Premium, YouTube TV, YouTube Go, YouTube Music, and so many others. YouTube's current CEO is Susan Wojcicki. So as mentioned before, our current CEO at YouTube is Susan Wojcicki. So these are the current executive officers for the entire business of YouTube. So as stated before, Susan Wojcicki is the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO. You have Robert Kink, who is the Chief Officer. You have Danielle Tide, who is the Chief Marketing Officer. And you have Taiwan Agarwal, who is the head of music partnerships and business development in India and Asia. So these are the spearheaders for YouTube today. Let me move my picture down so you can see. So here, move this back a little bit. So here is a visual, pretty much a visual for YouTube headquarters, and YouTube headquarters is located in San Bruno, California. So here is a visual of YouTube headquarters in California. Alrighty. So as we just took a look at the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California, and as you can see, it is full of awesome things. Honestly, like that is a huge headquarters. So now we're going to get into the heaviness of uh, YouTube Content ID, and not just only for YouTube Content ID, but the rights that is needed in order to have a Content ID. So now we're going to talk about the exclusive rights. And the exclusive rights are essential for any artist, any person within the music business that wants to put their works out on Front Street or make sure that they are being monetized correctly. You want to make sure that you understand and fully know what these exclusive rights are and how you are protected through these six exclusive rights, excuse me. So, subject to sections 107 through 122, the owner of copyright under this title has the exclusive rights to do and to authorize any of the following. One, to reproduce the copyrighted works in copies or phonorecords, meaning that you have the right to reproduce, restructure your song or put your song on an actual record or CD, and you make copies of it. You have the right to prepare derivative works based upon the copyrighted work. So any type of, let's say for instance, if you have a copyrighted song already out and you're coming up with an idea of creating a new song or whatever of that nature, but you have the idea of taking let's say for instance that song you did before and using that into this new song. You have the right to do that if it is your copyrighted work. Now in the case that if it's someone else's copyrighted work, you're going to have to ask permission from the publisher of that work or the songwriter or whoever that person has put in charge over that work. Three, to distribute copies or phono records of the copyrighted work to the public by sale or other transfer of ownership or rental, lease, or lending. So, like, let's say, for instance, lease beats. People, lease their beats out to other people. If you have, like, for instance, what is it, CD Baby, different things of that sort. The sale, the transfer, those specific copies of your song. Four, in the case of literary, musical, dramatic, and choreographic works, pantomimes and motion pictures, and other audiovisual works, to perform the copyrighted works publicly. So this is pretty much within, stage, movies, all of that stuff. That is pretty much what number four of the six exclusive rights pretty much serves to. Five, in the case of literary, musical, dramatic, and choreographic works, pantomimes, and pictorial graphic or sculptural works, including the individual images of a motion picture or audio-visual work to display the copyrighted work publicly. So this is more of graphics, different things that artists may do to make sure that they're protected. Not only is this for musical rights, but this kind of goes into, the movies, the art side. It goes into all of that to make sure that everybody is protected. And in the case of sound recordings, to perform the copyrighted work publicly by means of a digital audio transmission. So here, I conducted an interview with entertainment and sports attorney OMARA Harris, who is based in Atlanta, Georgia. She's from my hometown of Henderson, North Carolina. So I thought, who better to connect with than someone who is a native of my hometown and who has inspired me to take the path of wanting to become an entertainment attorney. So, in this interview, you're going to hear a lot of insight, of input from her career span and how she has made it within the industry. And she'll also talk about a little bit of YouTube content ID. So, let's take a look at the interview. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jayla Webb. I am a music business student from Elizabeth City State University, and I am here today with entertainment attorney Miss OMARA Harris. Hello, Miss Harris.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be helping out down there in Elizabeth City.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the entertainment field.
So, I am from Henderson, North Carolina, just like you. And I went to North Carolina Central University Law School. I went to Spelman College undergrad in Atlanta. And then I just kind of decided I really wanted to be honest, I decided when I went to a panel, so random, that in Raleigh, which we never have anything, in North Carolina related to entertainment. But for some reason, years ago, it was like a panel sponsored by, I want to say Coca-Cola, but it was about entertainment. And they had some people come and they talked about being an entertainment lawyer. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I was in high school at that point. So I decided from high school and went to Spelman knowing I wanted to come out and go to law school and do entertainment.
Wow, that's amazing. So as an attorney, what are some of the challenges that you may face or some things that may come across your table that are like big challenges for you?
I guess so as a new lawyer, you want to figure out you want to work smart, not hard. You don't want to have a lot of people calling you all the time, which is why people say, why don't you advertise? Why don't you have a website? Why don't you? We Googled you. We could find your website. No, you did not, because I have not had a website for almost 20 years on purpose, because I do not. What happens is that I'm one person. I get inundated with my mama, my sister, my cousin, my aunt. Everybody wants to be a star. Everybody wants to sing, to dance, to do this. Everybody's got a movie, a poem, a show they want to pitch. It just gets overwhelming, and I really valued my reputation. So I honestly did that in the beginning because I didn't want all of these people to be emailing me, and I look up. I mean, I would go do a panel, like I did a Billboard music panel one time, and I think after the panel, all the students and different people come up to you to talk to you after you do a panel. I might get 60 emails the next day. I just, plus work, and then it becomes too much. So I just decided, I was like, listen, I wanted to be the kind of attorney, because everybody would say, my attorney doesn't call me back. They don't do this, they don't do that. So I really wanted to be somebody that was reliable for my clients. And so I didn't want to take on too much. I really just ended up trying to do the best that I could to work with clients and, be good to my clients and all of that. So that's kind of, where I really kind of got started, and the difficulties come along with being responsive to me. A lot of entertainment, that's the big swipe you'll hear from entertainers, recording artists, actresses, all of the people that we represent, is that we don't call back fast enough, or we're not. But it's because, entertainment is one of those industries where people are very creative. So when they get on the phone, they want to talk for a long time. They want to tell you about this year's project. They want to tell you about next year's project. They want to tell you about what their long-term goals are, and it's like at some point you have to say, look, if I don't get off the phone, I'm literally not going to do any of the things you just hired me to do. Like, I got to hang up to start, on this stuff. So that was a balancing act, I think, for a lot of attorneys, is time management on phone calls, and how much do you go out and network? How much do you use for the phone? How much do you actually work? So that was probably one of the most difficult things. And then just making sure that I monetize my clientele. Like, I had such, again, when you go to all these events, you get a lot of people I just call it traffic. It's just traffic. It's not going to make you any money. It may be people who have no money whatsoever to pay an attorney anytime soon. They just need help, or they just need this or that. And, those aren't the kind of clients that actually are in the industry. Once I started representing clients that were in the entertainment industry, it just kind of was a snowball, and it's never stopped over this whole time. I started out with smaller clients that I'm just signing to labels and things like that. And I think one of the first deals I did was with Interscope Records and a publishing company too. I did a pub deal, was one of my first deals that I did. One of the first movie deals, full-fledged copyright transfer acquisition deals that I did was actually Good Times, that we all know, with Sony, where they were trying to acquire the rights to Good Times. I represented the original rights creators, some of which had passed away. So I represented the owners of the estate, their children, the original creators of Good Times. So a lot of things you really just, I do a lot of research, I do a lot of reading, and I do a lot of talking to people if I don't understand something. Because the worst thing you can do as an attorney when you have all of these things on the line is just, pass something on that you just don't understand. Because if you don't get it, it could end up backfiring on your client. So if you don't understand it, I would say stop. Make sure you understand all the provisions in this agreement before you get your client to sign off. Yeah.
My next question is going into pretty much what my project is about, YouTube Content ID. Can you tell us a little bit about what a YouTube Content ID is, if you have some insight on that?
So basically, we live in this amazing digital world where everyone is uploading content and wanting to make sure that their content is protected, and making sure that you get paid for the things that you're uploading. So YouTube Content ID is the way that YouTube identifies you and your actual copyrightable material. So if you're a copyright holder, you can't be somebody who owns like a beat that you leased offline and then you're uploading that and all of that. Because, unless you own the beat right out, because some people do that. I've had some, Bryson Tiller, this artist I was doing with Bryson Tiller, we had to buy a beat offline, but we had to make sure we were buying it in full. Because what happens is that there becomes all of this, when they sold the beat or leased the beat to multiple people, that content, when they go to register the song, the content ID will be registered to multiple people. They won't really know who to pay. And because it's technically part of that ID is assigned to different people, or the ownership. So, just when it comes to YouTube and streaming and making sure that you monetize on your intellectual property, you really just want to make sure that that you're registered. Like, for instance, CD Baby. If you want to register with a CD Baby and get your music online and all these different places, you want to make sure and register, set up with them as a copyright holder, and get your YouTube content. I forgot what they call it, but they have a name for it. When they set you up with the money part of their service, where they make sure that you're getting paid and you get your YouTube content IDs for whatever your content is. They can also connect it to your pages. So if you have let's say you have your own YouTube page, you could also connect it. Once you sign up with CD Baby, they will connect your personal page to your YouTube content ID and make sure you're making all the money that's coming through your personal page, as well as anywhere else that they find that content ID online. They'll be collecting your money for you. So that's just kind of like a bare basic, but I think the main thing that people want to understand is that you need to own the material. So it can't be leased beats, karaoke, remixes, all of that kind of stuff. That you get a YouTube content ID when it's your music, your lyrics, your actual copyrightable material.
As an attorney, have you had any instances where that it may stumble across your table, as far as artists dealing with having to fight for like a copyrighted material, like if they wanted to sample a song,
I actually have that right now, and it's taken forever to get this song clear. It's with RCA London, and we've been dealing with it honestly since like last year, like the end of last year, where it's a pretty big artist overseas. He's not big here, but he's big over in London, and the artist is from here, but her deal is in London. She's unbelievable. And the song that we're working on, we're trying to get cleared by the label, but the language that the attorney for that artist sent over, because basically they kind of sampled something else. So my client is the artist. She pulled the sample that came from this feature artist. So the feature artist is the one who technically brought the sample to this situation with my artist. But we're having to figure it out because that is a really big feature for the song. So we really want to leave it in, but we've just been having kind of a nightmare, RCA has, because I passed it on to them because this is what I do. It's the in-house people that really have to concentrate on the content ID because they're the ones who do all the technical stuff to make sure that it's actually applied and the money is going where it's supposed to go. I am more so concentrating. I'm a transactional entertainment lawyer where I concentrate on the contract provisions and make sure the language is correct and it's all correct in terms of what it says to make sure that you get your content ID and you make your money or that it's registered to you as an artist or a rights holder. So essentially, that's kind of been a cluster. They literally just sent another email this weekend, like, hey, any update on this? And then it's like it's gone on for like 6 months. And they're like, oh, sorry, the guy that you've been working with at the label is on paternity leave. Oh, like paternity leave. But I digress. But we don't know now that he's getting swapped out, another lawyer's coming in. She's got to come in and help us figure out whether or not the other people that they lease these beats to, they ended up also posting YouTube content IDs with part of this music because it's going to be a nightmare when it comes time to trying to collect and get paid on the song. And as a label and a distributor, RCA, that's all they care about. They want to make sure they can make their money on the song. And so if there's confusion, it's going to end up either sitting somewhere frozen or probably just sitting somewhere off to the side because they're not going to know what to do with it. So yes, I have had to deal with that. Honestly, most recently for that feature and it's like a first single for her. So it's been quite a lot trying to figure out how to get over that hump with that sample that they used because it was like a leased beat. And I've done it before, like I said, with that Bryson Tiller song. I think we purchased the beat in full, which you can do. So it was a Canadian producer. We went in and we said, hey, I know you lease beats. We don't want to lease. We want to own it outright. Have you sold it to anyone else? And we had to get all of that and get him to say, no, he had not sold it to anyone else. We could buy it outright, own it in full, and pay him his royalties, of course. So I had to do an agreement that reflected that would be the setup with him.
So my last and final question is, what advice or tips would you give to up-and-coming artists or to aspiring entertainment attorneys as myself? What tips or advice would you give to us?
I would say go intern for as many people as you can, even if it's for free. Even if you can get in at a record label, and I say that, okay, I wanted to be an attorney, for instance, so I did not do things like go work at a label work at a publishing company, but I should have. Because even if I was growing up, because when you're in college, they're not letting you work in legal, really. I mean, they're not doing that until you get to law school. They'll let you come and probably work at the legal department. So initially, they give you college-like jobs, which is like production assistants and come just help out at the label, working at the front desk. All of that stuff brings you mounds and mounds of networking opportunities. I would have joined Grammy U, which is the Grammy University. I was on the Grammy board here for about 12 years. I got off when I had my baby because it was just too many meetings for me to go to. But if you're a Grammy University student, definitely join Grammy U. Try to see if you can get internships, not only, a different chapter. All the Grammy chapters have interns. You could see if you could intern for one of them. A lot of times you do have to be able to get college credit, I believe, to be an intern, but they do internships. And like I said, Grammy U is it was pre-COVID, very active on different college campuses, even if it's not in Elizabeth City State per se. You can look up on the Grammy U website and see what type of events that they're going to have. So I think that would be a really good way. I would also go to the Black Entertainment and Sports Lawyers Conference, which is another way that I really got connected to entertainment law. I decided to go there from college. I was in the Pre-Law Society, the Entertainment Law Society at North Carolina Central. And we decided to go to Beazla, and it's an expensive trip. So we were saving our money because they're always in some country on the beach. So it'll be Puerto Rico, and then it'll be Bahamas, and then it might be anywhere. Cancun, Jamaica. I went 10 years straight. I literally went 10 years straight because all year long, I was focused on making sure that I got to Beazla, because every year that I went to Beazla, I met everyone. I met the president and vice presidents of MTV, Viacom, BET, the lawyers for BET, the lawyers for Lifetime, OWN, WeTV. Literally anybody that you name, I met at Beazla. So that to me became invaluable, where you get to meet them in a different way. Where when you meet them in a panel, they're just like, it's 20 of y'all. Thank you, and talk to you later. Or they can't digest 40 people at one time, But when you meet them on a beach, you can say hi. You can be less stuffy. A lot of times, everybody's got a cocktail. You can just kind of discuss, what you want to do in life. Ask them about their job, just be a little bit more, relaxed and cool about approaching them. You can sit down with them one morning for a coffee and pick their brain. You can ask all of them for internships. It's one of those things where it's kind of pricey, but it's very much worth it. And then they have a stateside series called the Brown Bag series they used to have, which is just like a lunch time Beazla panel where they don't go out of the country, but it's stateside. So it might be like, we're going to do one in LA or one in Atlanta for a couple of days. And people can come in for that. So you can also, as a Beazla student, you can sign up to be one of the students with Beazla. So you can also get on Beazla.org and look up all of the information about the organization and how you can join and be more active, even as a student. Because they have volunteers that come out of the country. They get their registrations paid for. They don't have to pay. They get discounted rates on the hotels because they're working the conference, which is also what I did to get to the conference. I was doing everything to make sure I was there. But now I know all of those people. When I need to negotiate a deal, like a client of mine had an infringement on BET, I just can hit up the vice presidents and presidents of BET and head the co-counsel and be like, hey, it's OMARA. I haven't seen you in a few months, but can you help me with this? I have a client. He's saying that you guys are infringing. What do you know about this? Even though you're on opposite sides and I have to kind of go after them, so to speak, I'm always very nice, cordial, because it's just work for me. I'm not taking it personal. Hopefully they're not taking it personal that I'm having to call them to tell them that my client says that they're stealing as a network. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harris, for your insight. It's very much appreciated. Thank you for taking time out to inspire and just give us, a little bit of tips as, just the aspects of the entertainment law field. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome, and good luck, and just let me know if you need anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as you can see from my interview with Attorney Harris, she gave a lot of insight, a lot of great tips and advice for any future artists, anybody that's interested in pursuing entertainment law. Also, if you want to know more about Beazla, go to BESLA.org. So now we are going into the heavier stuff of YouTube Content ID. So the criteria for YouTube content ID are pretty simple. Um, your it must be your original and copyrighted work, meaning that you cannot take someone else's video and claim it as your own. What YouTube content ID has is pretty much a database full of people's copywritten materials or just different works from specific YouTube videos. And what it does is, as you are getting ready to publish your video on your YouTube channel, whether it's your personal music page, however, that database scans your video from beginning to end to make sure that you do not have any copyrighted works that is not your own in that video. um, if in the fact that you do have that work that may be somebody else's, they'll flag you. They'll tell you specifically what it is. They may have to ask that you mute your video or you have some type of music that is not copyrighted under there. They'll tell you that within that part of you trying to publish your video on YouTube. Copyright owners must have the exclusive rights to the material that's evaluated. So going back pretty much to two slides back about the exclusive rights, you must have those rights to your material, whether it's music, whether it's art, etc. You must have those rights to that specific material. Copyright owners must give evidence of the copyrighted content for which they control exclusive rights, meaning that you have to have proof that it's your video, uh it's your work. You know, if you have paperwork saying that, by all means add that in there. If you have if you're going off by date of when that video was created, that helps too. But make sure that you have evidence that your specific work that you are trying to use for content ID is yours, so that you can control the way that you are monetizing, the way that people see it. That is how you can have that control. So now we're going into a visual explanation of specifically what content ID is from YouTube themselves. So let's take a look at this video.
At YouTube, our goal is to give everyone a voice and show them the world. Part of building a platform that works for everyone is making sure we have sophisticated content management tools that help content owners manage and protect their works. That's where Content ID comes in. Nearly all content claims on YouTube take place through Content ID. So, what is it? Content ID is YouTube's unique software system that was built to help content owners find copies of their work on YouTube. Content ID also gives them options beyond taking down copies, which in turn allows YouTube creators around the world to share creative ideas through fan videos that may include others' original content. Here's how Content ID works. First, content owners give us audio or visual reference files that identify their works. Our Content ID database creates what is known as a fingerprint from these files. We keep these fingerprints in a database of hundreds of years of audio and visual content. Content ID scans videos on YouTube against these fingerprints to see if there's a match. Thanks to these fingerprints, Content ID can recognize audio, video, and even melodies when they've been covered or imitated. When the system finds a match between the audio or visual reference files and a video on YouTube, the content owner has three options. They can block the video that matched their content, they can monetize the video, or they can track viewer data to get detailed analytics, such as countries where their content is popular. To date, content owners have claimed hundreds of millions of videos through Content ID. More often than not, content owners choose to earn revenue from the ad run against claimed videos. As a result, Content ID has paid out billions of dollars in revenue to content owners since it was first created in 2007. Making sure Content ID is working for everyone is really important to us. So we've invested over $100 million in building the system and are constantly improving it. We've also worked hard to make the system fair for creators. That's why we've made it easy for creators to dispute claims when they believe they're made in error. If the claim does turn out to be invalid, the creator won't lose out. Any revenue earned during the dispute process is held separately, then released to the appropriate party once the dispute is resolved. Plus, the Content ID system means that most content owners rely less on the notice and takedown process, although they may still choose to issue takedown notices to remove individual videos. With Content ID, YouTube gives content owners scalable tools that allow them to thrive from distributing their work online, while maintaining an open platform where all video creators can share their creativity.
Alrighty, so as you can see, that was the visual explanation of Content ID from YouTube themselves. Pretty self-explanatory, very useful into knowing that there are ways that you, as a content creator or as a copyrighted, uh, you know, artist, if you have your works copyrighted, you can make sure that you're protected and that your works are protected if in the case that someone else is using your work without giving you your credit. So now we're going to go into what is YouTube Content ID and a personal example of pretty much what was explained in the following video. So according to YouTube, copyright owners can use a system called Content ID to easily identify and manage their content on YouTube. Videos uploaded to YouTube are scanned against a database of files that have been submitted to YouTube by content owners. So pretty much what they said, once you are getting ready to publish your video, they scan it with other videos from what they have from years worth of audio and visual works. If they find a match, they'll flag it or they'll let you know, hey, you have, someone else's work in your video. So behind us is this is pretty much from my YouTube channel. I am a vlogger. I do vlog on YouTube. And from this vlog, it's my birthday vlog. And so my birthday was in February. And so for my birthday, my family planned a birthday celebration, a surprise birthday celebration, all socially distanced, masked, everything like that. And what YouTube flagged was the Happy Birthday song by Stevie Wonder. And it tells right here, it says, where the Happy Birthday song is, specifically where that song was indicated within the video. So from 17 minutes and 13 seconds to 17 minutes and 29 seconds, that song was played. Not from me, but within the proximity of where the party was being had. So with that being said, the copyrighted owners, which is on behalf of Motown UMG, the video cannot be monetized. So what they chose to do out of the three options that was shown within that visual interpretation of Content ID, that they chose monetization. So monetization for them would be ad revenue. So how that works out is YouTube is paid from, advertisers. They pay YouTube to play their advertisements. So based off of that portion, what will happen is they'll place the ads within the specific duration of where the video included that song. So from 17 minutes and 13 seconds to 17 minutes and 29 seconds, ads or an ad will be placed in that area, and that way that the copyright owners will get paid their due. And again, copyright owners get to decide what happens when content in a video on YouTube matches a work of their own. So within those three choices, they get to either choose to block it, to monetize off of it, or the analytic portion of it. So now we're going into advertising. Before there was any thought of YouTube, television programs would be paid to advertise products between their shows. Advertisers would use visual representation of their product or products. YouTube is the modern day version of this common practice. So this is an example of a show back in the 60s, 70s era, and they're advertising toothpaste. So I want us to watch this video and see how they advertise it.
Get Smart, brought to you by 13. 86. Anything to report?
Top secret. New bright white Pepsodent with zirconium silicate gets teeth bright white.
Gotcha. New Pepsodent with saccharinium choliate. Get
Zirconium chloramate.
saccharinium choliate.
Zirconium. Zirconium.
New Pepsodent with zirconium silicate gets teeth bright white.
Gotcha.
Alrighty, so as you can see, the advertisement showed a video of the toothpaste and wanted to make sure that your teeth are bright white. So with YouTube, with what I explained in the in the slide before, is that they will use pretty much advertisements kind of similar to that of a product or of a business in between subjected areas that were collected within that formatting of making sure that your video did not include or did include um, copyrighted materials. So they'll use materials kind of like this of someone's product or business within those areas. So now we're going into the summary. And pretty much to gather all these things together, with the help of YouTube, artists can create their own content with the protection of the content ID databases. So people who have copyrighted materials with whatever it may be, whether it's literary, musical, pictorial, going back to like the 6 exclusive rights, if you have your material copyrighted under whatever it feels within those 6 rights, then YouTube is able to protect you through this database. They make sure that your material, if someone else is using it, they're not getting paid off of your work. They make sure that you're notified immediately, and you, as that original owner, can make the choice to block their video or to monetize from their video and get your portion some, or to make sure the analytics are in your favor. Artists have the right to make claims or strike down videos in the case that someone has taken their copyrighted material as their own. If in fact the person has indeed used the content creator's copyrighted work, the video in question would not be able to be monetized, and therefore more advertisement would be heavily used in that video. So monetization is, I know with us growing up in, being in the YouTube era of, wanting to be YouTube vloggers and superstars, monetization is huge. So you cannot, get monetized off of somebody's work if it's not your work. And so YouTube makes sure that you are protected, you are making what you need to make in the case that someone else is, taking your work as your own. They're making sure that you're getting your ends due. And here is the reference page of pretty much all the things that was discussed within this video. And this is coming into the close of my presentation. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking a look at this presentation. I hope that it has inspired you. I hope that you learned something about YouTube Content ID. For any of the vloggers out there, I hope you know something new. I know I did as a vlogger, and diving deep into the world of YouTube and really understanding how everything works, and making sure that when you're making videos that you're not using other people's works or musical works or things of that sort. Because I've been doing vlogging for about 2 years now, and so I've had different occasions when I started out not knowing that Content ID was a thing until maybe my second video. I think I got flagged for my intro video, and so I didn't really know all of it until maybe like some months after what was going on with my channel and why I was getting flagged because of that specific video within my intro. And so, of course, I can't get monetized off of those videos due to the fact that that is there. But of course, I changed my video, my intro to my video, and now all is well. But thank you all for tuning in to listening into my PowerPoint presentation. I hope that it helps. I hope that you find it successful with whatever you do with YouTube. I want to thank my professor and advisor, Professor Jackson, for everything that he's done in helping make sure that this project goes smoothly and successfully. I want to thank all the staff and faculty for tuning in and participating with helping me out as well. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my friends. If you're watching this, thank you for tuning in and supporting me along the way throughout my collegiate matriculation at ECSU. And I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you enjoy your day, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. But thank you all, and Viking Pride.